Okay, let us resume again. So are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us go ahead as we are discussing. Now we'll see two-dimensional solution of Reynolds equation. So before two-dimensional solution, let us prepare the equations. So in generalized form, your Reynolds equation is okay. This is your generalized form of Reynolds equation, two-dimensional. So what is UA and UB? So UA and UB referred as the surface velocity of, one is the surface velocity of journal, one is the surface velocity of bearing. Okay, let it UA is the surface velocity of journal. Okay. Now before going for two-dimensional or numerical solution, in many it is not about lubrication. In many of the formulations or numerical solution, we go for non-dimensionalizing the equations. So what is the benefit of non-dimensionalizing the equations? Can anyone tell me? Yes.
It is like universal. It can be used for any system.
Right, that is true. By making a equation non-dimensionalized or non-dimensional, we get rid of real parameters. For example, here we have viscosity, eta, right? We have eta here. So if I solve this equation straightforward like this, dimensional, so whatever solution I'll get, that will be for that particular eta. Eta is the viscosity. So let's say I'm solving for Castrol, normal, Castrol engine oil. So eta, there will be a particular eta value for that Castrol engine oil, normal Castrol. Now that solution will not be valid, or whatever result I get will not be valid for Castrol CRB plus, let us say. Castrol CRB plus will have different viscosity. Okay. Now as we are discussing about the viscosity, in commercial grades of oil, let's say 20 W40. Have you heard of these type of names for oil?
Yes, sir.
So do you know what are these?
So the first
and the first is the viscosity during winter, and 40 is during normal working condition.
Yeah, so see, you can also get a number like 10W80, right?
yes, sir.
So from here, we guess like this is engine oil.
So could you explain what these numbers are? I have not heard of them.
I'm actually asking you to let me tell you. This is basically engine oil. Okay, that we put in our automobile, and this may be gear oil. Okay, so I suggest you to Google, everyone, Google it and find out what are these numbers stands for. Not much. Something something W something something. This is very interesting. So I want you all to Google it and read through, because these are practical. These are very important. When you go to market, buy something, you ask the shopkeeper to give you engine oil. Suppose he gives you 10 W80. You do not know. You will just bring it, right? But if I go to market, I'll ask him for engine oil. So if he doesn't give a number like this or similar to this, so I'll not buy. I'll tell him that, okay, you are not selling me engine oil, you are selling me gear oil, clutch oil, or something like that, or differential oil. Okay. So oils used in engine, oil used in differential, gear, clutch, and brake are all different. Okay. They have different viscosity, they have different operating temperatures, range of operating temperatures, and they have viscosity variations are also different. Okay, so as we raise this point now, so please go through this. This is very interesting. Go through this. Okay. Okay, so now let us come back to non-dimensionalization. Now what I was saying that now if you non-dimensionalize this equation, then viscosity will no more be appearing in the equation, and whatever solution you will get, that will be valid for any lubricant. Okay, so now the next question is how to non-dimensionalize, how to start the non-dimensionalizing the equation. So always you look for the solution domain or the coordinate system or the basic parameters you are using for this equation. Now first of all, I wrote this equation in Cartesian coordinate system. So we are going to use this in polar coordinate system for journal bearing. So I'll use theta equal to x by r. So theta already is a non-dimensional quantity, right? So this is my x direction. Theta stands for x direction. So similarly in z direction, I'll write z bar. Normally we write non-dimensional quantity with a bar. So z bar equal to z by, let's say, L by 2. Okay. Why we are making z equal to z by L by 2? We can also make z bar equal to z by length L. As we are sticking our coordinate system to z equal to 0, and both sides we are taking minus L by 2 to plus L by 2. Therefore, we are taking this one. But there is no restriction. If you stick your coordinate system to one side of the bearing, one end of the bearing, you can also very well take this. So there z will vary from 0 to L, and here z is varying from minus L by 2 to plus L by 2. Okay, that is the difference. You can very well take z equal to z by L. Okay, so now these are two basic parameters that we non-dimensionalized. Now based on this, you will get h. H is what? H is equal to c into whole into 1 plus epsilon cos theta. Now if you make h non-dimensionalized, h bar, then what you can do? You can very well do like h by c, which is equal to 1 plus epsilon cos theta. Okay. Now, yeah, in that is all you need for non-dimensionalizing this equation. Now, what is UA plus UB in dimensional? U equal to UA plus UB. If UB equal to 0, that is the bearing velocity, then U equal to UA. So basically, this is the surface velocity of journal. Okay. Now with this, let us proceed. What you do basically, you substitute these quantities here back in this equation. Then you should be able to write this expression. Okay. Now, for example, if you want to substitute x, you can substitute actually r theta. Okay. For example, if you want to substitute for h, you can substitute for h. You can substitute h bar c. So similar way, if you substitute, you will get this expression. Now here you can see that p is not non-dimensional. You are using only theta, z bar, and h bar are non-dimensional. Now you do one thing, you take all other dimensional quantity to group it in one. So if you do that, you should be able to write the final form of equation. So this is your final form of non-dimensional equation, where you group the dimensional term in one, where automatically it will come like p bar equal to pc square by 6 eta u r. Okay. So any doubt regarding getting this non-dimensional equation? This is the non-dimensional equation that we are going to use. Now, if you see this non-dimensional equation, there is no viscosity. You will be solving for p bar. Okay. Your input will be h bar. You will be solving for p bar. So there is no viscosity. So in non-dimensional equations, you need minimum input for solution of equation. Now for this equation, what are the input? Can you tell me? This d by L is diameter of journal to length. So your input will be like d by L, it is a ratio, diameter of journal to length, and another input will be your epsilon, based on which your h bar will be calculated. These are only two input to solve. So imagine for any bearing, if the same bearing or even if different geometry, if the L by D ratio is same for a bearing, let's say L by D ratio is 1 for a bearing, the diameter is same as length. So whatever the bearing geometry is, if L by D ratio remains same, okay, then you will get the same result for same epsilon. Okay, so that is the advantage of dealing with non-dimensional equations. So now before moving on to actually discretizing this equation, sorry.
Hello, sir.
Yes, bolo.
Sir, will not theta also be an input because if we write h bar, then cos
Yeah,
theta
yeah,
term.
that is not input theta. Okay, theta
Okay.
is your solution domain. Theta, you tell me. Okay, theta is input, fine. But what is the variation of theta? You tell me minimum and maximum value of theta.
So it is 0 and 2 pi.
So is there any difference for any other bearing?
No, sir.
So then it is not input, right?
Yes, sir.
Input means specific to the problem. So it is a solution domain. It is your coordinate system. Now similarly, z bar. Z bar, what is the minimum and maximum value of z bar?
So it is 0 and r.
Not r.
So
Z.
L, sir. Sorry.
So it is not L. Z equal to, Z is varying from minus L by 2 to plus L by 2. So Z bar is varying from minus 1 to plus 1. Okay, because you are
Yes,
defining,
yes, sir.
you are defining Z bar equal to Z by L by 2. So for all bearings now, Z bar will vary from minus 1 to plus 1, irrespective of the bearing. So it is your solution domain. So that is not input. Okay. So let us move ahead. Let me write this equation in slightly in a form so that it will be easier for discretization. So I am just differentiating square. Okay. So equal to d by L square. Sorry, I should not write this way. So this is what you will get. You will differentiate and separate out the terms. This expression you will get. Okay. So this is the expression that we will be discretizing. Okay. Or we will be writing in algebraic form for finite difference method. So now let us go to finite difference method for this numerical solution. First of all, we have to have the solution domain. So just open the bearing. So if you open the bearing, okay. So let me just divide it with grids. This is theta direction, which varies from 0 to 2 pi. This is circumferential direction. and this is your z bar direction, which varies from 0 to 1. Okay, same 0 to 1. Now this distance here is, let's say, delta theta, and this distance, let's say, delta z bar. Okay, so if you can recall, in our one-dimensional case, as that was one-dimensional, we are only taking theta direction. That variation was from 0 to 2 pi. But as this is a 2D case, this will be a two-dimensional envelope or two-dimensional domain of solution. We have to discretize with a number of points in theta direction as well as number of points in z direction. Okay. So any doubt regarding this solution domain? Okay. So now in this direction, let me use index as j, and in z direction, let me use the index as I. Okay. If that is so, at any, let us say any point, any node here, let me name it as I j. Okay. Now the node left to it will be I, will be named as I j minus 1. Right to it I j plus 1. I will not vary, but j will vary. I will remain same. Okay. Similarly, the point below it will be I minus 1 j, and point above it will be I plus 1 j. In this case, j will not vary, only I will vary. Along z direction, I will vary. Along theta direction, j will vary. So these are 4 adjacent points to ij. Okay. Now referring to this figure, at any node ij, okay, what is the value of first differentiation? Let's say del p upon del theta at ij equal to what? That is equal to I j plus 1 minus p I j minus 1 divided by 2 delta theta. Okay. If you can recall to your 1D case, it is same as your 1D case, as we are taking in del p upon del theta, that is differentiation in theta direction. So there will be only variation of j. So in your 1D case, you have written p j plus 1 minus p j minus 1 divided by 2 delta theta. So that is the same thing we are writing, keeping I to be constant. Okay. Similarly, if you want to write del p upon del z bar at I j, So this is a variation in z direction. So now what you have to do, you have to vary actually I. J remains constant. So P I minus 1 J divided by 2 delta Z bar. Okay. So very similar way, if you want to write double differentiation. So I'm writing here P, you can name it as P bar if you want. Okay. So in double differentiation, Ij, so P to Pij plus P delta theta square. Similarly, for double differentiation in Z direction, here I will vary. Okay, these are the differentiation with respect to I and J. So these are differentiation that we are going to find at node point Ij. So if you know the values at the adjacent nodes, by utilizing the values of adjacent nodes, 4 adjacent nodes, you should be able to find out all these differentiations. So any doubt? This is very similar way that we have done for 1D case. If you get any doubt, you can stop me, because you are doing going to do the next assignment, a program on this. Okay.
Sir,
Now,
in
yeah.
del square P bar by del theta square, sir. Okay, sir, it's clear. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, just refer to your 1D case. I'm keeping I constant, only varying J. Okay. So after this, what we are going to do? As in 1D case, you substitute these values in this governing equation. Okay. So for del H upon del theta, you have to just replace P with H. So if you write in algebraic form this equation, and then what you have to do, you can see here there are two times it is appearing Pij here, Pij here also Pij. So in your final expression of algebraic form, definitely there will be Pij terms. So what you do, after writing the equation in algebraic form, you keep P bar Ij in the LHS left side, and whatever appearing or whatever coming out, that you keep in the right side. Okay, take Pij to the left side. There should not be any Pij in the right side. So right side function will be of anything other than Pij. Okay, in the Reynolds expression. So this is your governing expression that you are going to solve using finite difference method or this numerical method. Now let us start. So when you start the program, as I say, you have to discretize it. So I'll write this program very specific to MATLAB, so it will be very useful for you, and you can do the same thing. Okay, there may be minor mistakes, so that you can rectify. Okay, so first of all, the solution domain. So let me take x. Let me take number of nodes first of all. Let me take nx equal to the number of nodes in x direction. That means in x direction, how many node points you want to take. Okay, that is nx. I'm naming it as nx. Similarly, in z direction, how many node points you want to take, that I'll name as nz. Okay, so first of all, nx you define some, okay, 9 or 10, whatever, to start with. Then you define also nz, number of nodes in z direction, number of node in x direction. Okay, then as we are doing in program, so let us forget about theta, just write x. X stands for theta. So x equal to, then it will become linspace. So variation is from 0 to 2 pi, right? And divide with number of nodes. Clear? Similarly, write small z, linspace. This small z is again z bar. Variation is from 0 to 1 divided with number of grid points in z direction. Okay. Now if you do that, practically x will be an array, will be having like 0 and some value, then some value, then some value, then some value, and finally 2 pi. Okay. Similarly, z will be having 0, some value, some value, some value, finally 1. So this will be array. Okay. But we'll convert this to real two-dimensional coordinates. So that you can use a for loop to do it, or you can use the MATLAB function directly. So now I will use capital X, capital Z, use mesh grid, X, Z. It may require to take you Z transpose or something. Okay, that you check. So what will happen here? By this function, what I am doing, let me explain you. Okay, let me explain you in, let's say I have a array of X, which is varying like 0, 1, 2, okay. I have a array of Z, which is varying like 0, 1, 2, 3. So that means here I have taken nx to be 3 and nz to be 4. Okay. So if I do this mesh grid, or if I repeat it, see, if I write the grid for it, this will become like this. Okay, I have drawn one more extra. So Z direction I am dividing with 4 points. Now X direction I am dividing with 3 points. So X direction, if you see, the value is 0, 1, 2, right? In Z direction, the value is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now it will be convenient if I write it, repeat it. Like we have to write in a coordinate form. So if I ask you that what is the value of X and Z here, So what is the value of X and Z here?
1, 2.
1 and 2, right? So that is basically 1, 2. So it will be convenient for me if I make this X matrix, X array to be a matrix and Z array to be also a matrix. Okay. So if I do that, for this particular case, X will become a matrix like this: 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Okay. Similarly, Z will become also a matrix zero, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That means if I ask from the index that what is the value of X at node number 1, 2. So sorry, not node number 1, 2. This is actually node number 1. This is node number 2, node number 3. Okay. These are the dimensions, but these are the index. Understood? Similarly, in Z direction, this is node number 1, node number 2, node number 3, node number 4. So if I ask to directly give me the coordinate of 2, 3, this is address of the node 2, 3. So address of the node 2, 3. So you go directly 2 and 3. So X is 1. Okay. And in Z direction also, in Z matrix, you go to 2, 3. Okay. So second row and third column. So it is becoming Z equal to 2, right? Yes. Yes or no? Any doubt?
Sir,
Hmm.
so how is the X and Z matrix formed? Can you explain it?
Let me come back to actually different values altogether, because I think this one are confusing to you. Let me come back. First of all, try to understand that each node will be called with their address. Okay. So in all these things, you normally tell that it is a node number. Okay. And each node will be having some values. Understood? Any doubt regarding that? Suppose a line you are dividing with 10 nodes. Let me just delete everything. Okay. So let us move back to a convenient way. Okay. First of all, a line. I am dividing this line with 5 points. Okay. Now the length of the line is 0.5. So first one is 0. Second one 0.5. This is actual length. Sorry, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. So total length of the line is not 0.5, 0.4. Okay. So I am dividing it with 5 nodes. Okay, clear? So what is the node number of this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Okay. So let us say this is x. Then x will be 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. Right? If I ask you that what is the value of x3? x3 means what?
0.2, sir.
Yes, but that 3 is what? That 3 is the address, node number. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that means our j direction. It is basically the j direction, right? What is j? J is 3. x3 means j is 3. Okay? X of j or x of 3 equal to 0.2. Right? This way you get the address. Okay. So these node numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine. Now let me take another caller. Okay. Now here this is j direction. Let me just divide it with 4 points, let's say. Let me divide it with 4 points. So let's say this z is varying from 0, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6. Okay. Let's say z is varying from 0 to 0.6 and I have divided with 4 nodes. So node numbers are, this is 0. Node numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So what I can write now? Z equal to 0, 0.2, 0.4 and 0.6. Okay. So if I ask you what is Z2 or let us say what is Z3, what will you tell me?
0.4.
0.4. So Z3,
Sir,
Zi. Yes. Bolo?
sir, is this Z transpose instead of Z?
Obviously, it has to be. That you have to find out. Okay, you try the program and see. That's why I wrote here. If you have seen clearly that I wrote here, one has to be transposed. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can take X transpose and Z to be this way. Okay, so Zi. Suppose I am asking I to be 3. So Z of 3 equal to 0.4. Right. Now this is a grid. So let me close it. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let us see. Let us go ahead. Okay. Can anyone tell me the address of this point? I'm not talking about dimension. Address of that point.
4,3.
4,3. Very good. Yeah, maybe 3,4. Whatever you say. Right. let us say this is I, this is J. Okay, it is up to you how you take. Okay, 4,3. So when I say 4,3, this is the address of the node number, address of the node. Okay. Now, if I ask you the value of X at this point, what is the value of X?
0.3.
0.3.
0.3. How do you pick? Because you have a array here, but I am asking you for a matrix 4 by 3. How do you actually pick? Because computer will not do anything as long as you don't do it, right? Understood? So I can pick only if I can make a X matrix like this: 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0. Just repeat it as many times as Z.
So does this mesh grid command does this on its own?
Yeah, it does it on its own. Okay, life is so easy nowadays. Otherwise, you go for a for loop. Okay, now if I ask what is the value of X, okay, 4 by 3, you tell me from this X matrix.
0.3.
0.2.
0.2, 0.3.
0.3.
Okay, so that is what we are actually creating matrix, so that by address number we can trace the value. So do you remember, we have an index, address of the node, you have the value of the node. Understood? So for this case, if you want to create Z, it will become 0. Okay, 0.6, 0.4. I'm writing in downward order. Okay, so how many times I have to repeat? See, X you are repeating, there are 5 values of X you are repeating 4 times, right? As many as divisions of Z. Similarly, if I am writing Z, how many times I have to repeat it?
5 times.
5 times. So 0.6, 0.4, 0.2, 0. So I hope now you understood.
Yes, sir.
So similarly, at the same point, if I now ask you what is the value of 4 and 3, you can very well give me from this matrix, right? Any doubt? Okay. So this matrix you can create using this mesh grid command, or else using a for loop, or else using repeat matrix command also in MATLAB, repmat. Okay. So there are various commands. So it is very easy to make it. Okay. So, but only thing is that if you are using this mesh grid, do remember you have to give one of these transpose, and after creation of this, please check the matrix whether you are getting in this order or transpose of this, or whether you are getting this one in this order or transpose of it. Okay. Okay. Now let us move forward. Let me just put a line here. So this is not part of our program. Okay. So I have used mesh grid here. You can use for loop or repeat the matrix. Okay. Let us move ahead. So what I did, I created the solution domain. So now next thing is that I have to create H. H means S bar. So H I can straightforward now write 1 plus epsilon cos capital X. Now this epsilon is an input. You have to give this epsilon some value. I told you that you have to assume initially some values of epsilon a D by L or L by D ratio, whatever, and some values of epsilon to start with. Okay. So if you assume some x by D by L and epsilon, then you can very well create this. So what will be the size of this H? Whether H is a array, H is an array or matrix, what is that?
Matrix, same as
Yes.
the size of X.
Yes. Now all matrices will have same size as we are taking J in this direction and I in this direction. All matrices will have NZ, NX. Clear? Dimension as NZ, NX. Clear? Because we are taking IJ. So all matrix dimension will have NZ, NX. So now once you create this, then next step is that to assume the pressure. So assume now I told you already that okay, P equal to zeros, NZ, NX, and another value assume P volt equal to P. Okay, and then your solution starts. So take while loop, while convergence CONV 1 I write because convergence is a inbuilt 10 to the minus 5. Then you write for loop. In 1D case, we have written one for loop. Here you have to write two for loops. Let us say I, which varies from 2 to nz minus 1, and then for j equal to 2 to nx minus 1. Okay. Then you write your equation. This P I j equal to whatever appearing in the right side. This expression you have already found here, this expression. Okay. So that Pij expression you write here. So last class we discussed in right side, when you write the expression, you should not write P, you should write P old. Okay. It should be a function of P old in the right side. Then your solution ends. So this is two for loops. So if you go inside these two for loops, it will find out all the values of Pij based on the value of P old. Okay. Now come out of two for loops. Again make convergence. Like 1D case. Here you have to use double summation. Okay. Sum and then sum of P minus sum and double summation of P old divided by of P old. Okay. Okay, so this is what your convergence looks like. So then complete. Is it complete? P old you have to assign as P. Then while loop, end of while loop. This is the whole program. Is there any doubt? Okay, I think we are exceeding time. So let us discuss, carry on with the next class. Okay. So up to this you go through. Even if you find any doubt in this numerical solution, then let me know. Okay. We can further carry on next class. We can discuss.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.